Hi friends, sorry you're getting blasted in the face with the light behind me. I have decided that I really don't give a shit anymore about creating the perfect lighting or trying to filter myself in any way. Obviously, it has been a journey for myself to move from being in the corporate world, which means that you have to act a certain way to adhere with what the company wants you to be like. And even if we don't aren't like representing a company, usually we're thinking about like what are people going to think if I act this way or that way or do this thing or if I don't accommodate them in this way, and like I'm done with it. And honestly, that's where we're all headed. So if you hate it, like, I don't know, put your hand over it or something. Like, I don't like these overhead lights, so here it is. I was actually doing these LED lights for a while and those suck too, so here we are. So one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is how so many of us feel, and this is like when I tap into the collective, and I also remember how I used to feel in life, right? So many of us feel like, well, there's a range, and I'm actually going to talk about the people that have like really gone after their dreams and like hit these goalposts and been like, what the fuck? And they're still looking for like thrills or something to light them up because they really, honestly, like a lot of us, we kind of get off on that chase, right? But then when we get there, we're like, what? That's it? And oftentimes that's because we were chasing kind of like the wrong thing. Like we weren't actually clear on what we wanted. We just wanted to like prove that we could get this thing, or sometimes it's about creating safety, and that could be either in the form of like financial security, or it could be emotional safety through proving something to ourselves, or emotional safety through getting married so we can prove that like we're worthy of love or whatever it is. But the problem is most of us are actually like, I've been avoiding saying this. I keep like typing it in my posts and being like, don't say that. People are going to be offended and think you're being an asshole. And I'm not being an asshole, but what I do want to say is like, so many of you go around joking about like, y'all are a bunch of NPCs, and it's like, you're a fucking NPC. Like, most people today are just like this set of codes running, and they don't actually have their like the true essence of who they are, like that spark of life that goes into all these different incarnation experiences, or like when you pass over, like you still have your this essence of who you are, right? Most people, it's like we're just a program running. Well, we're like a series of programs, and what we're missing, and what I trigger in a lot of people, most people, if not all people, is this remembrance of what is meant to flow through us. This remembrance of what it feels like to be alive. And so much of society has been structured around trying to control from the top down. And the challenge is that's not actually what we want. It's just fear of the unknown, of the chaotic, of the unpredictable. And so we feel like if we just make everything perfect and predictable, and we run our analyses and we create exactly what we want, like that's actually not very satisfying. That's like I can't even think of how to parallel it. And actually, let me turn this thing off. Hang on. I don't mind blasting you guys with light, but I don't want also the extra tone of my dehumidifier. I was like, what is that thing again? But yeah, it's like greed, control, even lust. It's like chasing something without realizing. It's like if you were to run a marathon thinking at the end of the marathon you were going to get what you want, you were going to feel the way you want to feel. But it's like no matter how many marathons you run, and like this isn't really true for marathons, because like at the end of a marathon you probably feel pretty exhausted, but like really fucking proud of yourself, unless you, I don't know, something happened. But it's like, say you were to run a marathon thinking when you get to the end of that marathon, you're going to get to embody this feeling that you want to embody. Not just for a moment, but you're going to finally get to embody this feeling. what we're chasing there is this feeling of, first of all, really running our essence through us. Like, imagine you're like a hose, and the feeling you really want is like the water of your essence. That's not really the right way to put it, but like the water of your essence, like blasting through the hose. Like, that would be like the ultimate experience. The ultimate experience is like if all of us are running around doing that, and as a result we're living in alignment with what we're truly like, what the highest. Okay, we're all designed to be an ecosystem. There's so many things where it's like, how do I explain this in a simple way? We're all designed to be an ecosystem. And what we're shifting into, which, like, not everyone's going to come. I mean, everyone might come. I would love if everyone comes. That's my goal. I've been trying to figure out, like, how do I get even the people that would be otherwise thinking I'm working against them to also be like, hey, like, this is happening. And I would love for you to join and let me speak to you on why this actually benefits you too, because, like, you're not actually having that much fucking fun. Like, I know. Can't hide from me. So we're all meant to be this ecosystem, and that ecosystem, like, we are all part of like a bigger energetic organism. And right now we've got, and I've mentioned this in some prior posts, but it's like right now we've got like the liver is like, fuck you guys, I want to be this other thing that is not actually harmonious with the rest of the body. But then the rest of the body starts getting less and less healthy, which then starts affecting the liver, and the liver's pissed at the body, so now it's trying to control the rest of the body, and it's like, that's not going to get you anywhere, liver. Like, you're going to fucking die. Like, you're going to get depleted, you're going to die. And it's going to be not as happy as it could be if you would just accept that you're a liver and you're meant to play a role in a bigger organism. So when we all essentially clear all that's in direct resistance to the truth of who we are, each one as individuals, like, we're each this unique signature. And when we clear away all that's preventing us from expressing as that unique signature, we kind of just fall into place, because that bigger organism knows what it needs when it needs, and it takes care of itself, right? The people that are fighting against flowing into this harmonious way of being, we've for some reason been allowed to be like having all these like cancerous parts of ourselves, and like the liver's like, I'm gonna fucking control the rest of the body, or whatever it is, right? Things are shifting at an energetics level that's no longer being supported. So first of all, things have changed. If you're like, well, this has been going fine, like, first of all, you probably haven't actually been that happy. You're probably seeking a bunch of thrills on the side to try and like feel alive, or trying to find a new goal that, like, maybe when I hit this one I'll feel good. It's like, sure, try it. See how it goes. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. But if we shift, when those of us who flow into the current of where life is guiding us energetically, we'll begin to shift into a way of existing that is deeply satiating and is harmonious. We're no longer needing to try to control things, because that essence which flows through us is I don't want to go into like God territory, because this is not Christianity, and we can talk another day about how Christianity was born. They twisted a lot of teachings. We'll just table that for right now. So think of like your essence is an aspect of the energy of like a greater whole, right? And what we want to get to is this place where we're flowing in alignment. It doesn't feel hard, but it doesn't feel unfulfilling. Because I know for me, I used to think like, well, if it's easy, I'm probably going to get bored. And this is something that I actually want to touch on for myself, because I find it a little hysterical. I have been triggered into this process for the past a little over 5 years. since my near-death experience. So it was like I snapped awake. I had this awareness of what I'm here to be doing, and was like, well, what the fuck? Like, how am I supposed to do that? And I actually saw something the other day that talked about this, and I want to reiterate it. It was saying, like, sometimes we'll be shown something that we're here to do, but we have to understand that just because we're shown it doesn't mean we need to go do it right away. It's just like you're being shown, right? And then you have to, not you have to, but what I would recommend is that then you don't try and figure it out with your little human mind. You just, maybe you say a prayer like, okay, I'm willing, show me the path. And then you just start listening for cues. And by listening, I mean like feel. Be willing to listen to what we might refer to as like our intuition, like these little nudges within us that are like, go do this thing. And it'll feel like this gentle, like, well, sometimes it's gentle, sometimes it's not gentle, but like almost like a tugging at your heart. But when we think of like our heart, we think of like soft and gentle and like, oh, I just forgot. I haven't said what I was going to say before, but we think of love. I used to think of love, and this is part of what I was going to start talking about before. I used to think of love as kind of like, it's kind of boring. And it's hysterical to me because I've gone through a fuck ton of trauma, and one of the things that I came to realize is like, my soul kind of loves this shit. Like, as fucked up as that may sound, I went through a lot of stuff in my life, and it felt really painful. And I'm also like the type of, I don't know if I'm a super old soul or what it is, but I'm like, fucking game on, you know? Like, I am a fucking warrior, and I will, there's a part of me that loves the like, I gotta fucking grind through it. I have to have the grit. I have to have the resilience, and I'm gonna prove to myself, and I'm gonna prove to everyone else. And there's fun in that. And I want to acknowledge that because I am not shaming what we have been doing. There was a time and a place for what we have been doing, and that time and place is coming to an end. And part of why I want to share that I love that shit is because the feeling that I now get to access. So I'm a little bit of like a thrill seeker, adrenaline junkie in my I was going to say in my unhealed expression, but that still carries into my healed expression too. I like actually, let me say this. I've seen a number of my past lives, and I don't take small roles. I don't take easy roles. There was one that was like mellow that and there's plenty I'm sure that I haven't seen yet, but I don't know if these are just the ones that are most relevant to what I'm stepping into here in this lifetime. There was a lot of intensity. There was a lot of dark shit. There was a lot of things that I look back and I'm like, damn, you're a fucking warrior. And like things where I would sacrifice for the greater whole. Things where I did bad shit to the greater whole. Because we have to, someone told me a while back that the more light we're able to carry, the further down into darkness we have to descend. And I certainly descended into darkness in this lifetime, but there are other lifetimes where it was, I would say, almost even more, quite a bit more intense, like way more intense, like, and like I was responsible for a lot of darkness. And then I've had lifetimes where I have just been in service to what I believe was an entire collective. Like there was one life where I was actually off planet. And I've had a number of other people that have come into my life that feel like a level of soul family that describe remembering the exact same planet, and they have remembrances of me being on. It's like I was the leader, and it wasn't like we didn't have like presidents, right? It wasn't like someone that's ruling. It was almost like this feeling of like, I believe the way it's meant to be is like those in a, like say we were to go back to king and queens, right? The embodiment, I believe the healthy embodiment is more akin to a mother and father. They're not trying to control, they genuinely have the best interest of their people at heart. And it makes them deeply happy to see their kingdom thriving. And they treat everyone as an extension of themselves. And in that, it's like it becomes this beautiful, harmonious experience, but it's not boring, right? Um, so yeah, one of the lives, it was like I was on a dying planet, and it was like we got as many people off the planet with ships as possible, but it seems like the memory that I keep going back to was the planet was dying, and I was committed to staying with those that were going to be left behind, because how are you just going to leave them, right? But then I also have lifetimes that I recall where I was doing some really fucked up shit. And then I have lifetimes that, you know, there's one in readings that what had come through with someone that's near and dear to me, that she referenced it as like a sentence life. So I'm not sure if that was my punishment to myself for the lifetimes in which I had not upheld the role of leader as that mother figure who has genuine care. It feels like there was a lot more of the fear, desire to control, desire to do all kinds of things that and what's interesting is I can also feel what drove those behaviors, which I believe is part of why I'm here to help bring us all together, right? Because I, in this lifetime, came like up through the fucking riffraff, right? But in all of these other lifetimes, I was up much higher, if not at the top. And so I can empathize with both ends of the spectrum, because I've been this one who was trying to lead from a place that was not in the best interest of the greater good. Though from a warped perception, that was my belief. And so I also understand that there's going to be a jarring kind of coming home to yourself moment for a lot of people that have been in these higher ranks, of having to really reflect in a way that can be quite devastating, because I have memory of having done that as well. Of like, I thought I was doing what was best, and I thought this was the role that I was supposed to take on. And some of that can come from like what society is right now, and you know, we fall into different categories based on, I believe, what our soul chose to experience. And sometimes that can be because we had certain lessons that we wanted to experience, and that could mean that we chose to incarnate in really painful circumstances or very fortunate circumstances. So going back to the whole moving into a harmonious way of being is not boring. Okay, so in 2020, I have this near-death experience. Prior to 2020, I don't even know how to talk about what I was, but I was in a lot of pain. I was running from so much turmoil within myself. And when I do this, it's this feeling of like everything inside of me is like, like it's like it was just, I was bursting at the seams, right? And so I would drink a ton. I honestly would use men to feel better. Obviously, my relationship to the masculine through what I have experienced, for those of you that have seen my bits of, at least about my story, was quite distorted. And obviously when I snapped awake in 2020, that wasn't instantly healed. That's been quite the journey of healing. And there's been new layers that have been coming up to be seen lately, and have led to me making some massive shifts in my life accordingly. And so what I want to touch on is, I thought, like, if you'd have told me that I'd be living the life that I'm living today back then, based on my level of consciousness, I would have had no reference point to possibly comprehend what it is that I'm experiencing. So instead, what I would have seen is like, you're not going out partying, you're not getting validation from men, you're not like in the way that I was getting it before, right? You're not using clothes to feel good, feel like like I'm enough. And I will say I will probably be returning to dressing a bit more interestingly. Many of you know I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in fashion design. I One of my favorite things growing up was I would go to like Barnes and Noble and get all of these like kind of alternative high fashion magazines, and like I just lived for these photo shoots that would create these like otherworldly realms. And it was like it's like a little bit dark, but it's a little bit but it's also got the sweetness and the femininity. It's like just what we want is like a combination of all of it, not a rejection of any of it, right? So I guess what I'm trying to say is, first of all, don't be shocked if I one day pivot back out of, I feel it coming quickly, but I'm so comfortable. If I pivot out of my sweatshirts that I have this in like 5 different colors. If I could remember the name of the company, I would tell you, because these are like they're so soft. And then I have like 5 pairs of the same sweatpants as well, just like black basic sweatpants, but they're from, I'm like only natural fibers. So when I had things coming online within myself, there was things that was coming online around the materials of the clothing that I was wearing. So honestly, if anyone wants to like fucking invest in me creating a new clothing line, I want to create like amazing clothes, like sexy clothes, beautiful clothes, clothes for men, clothes for women, but have them be good materials and like high quality. Like I'm so over this bullshit of like fast fashion is disgusting. Like I'm sorry, I never was able to get behind that, and beautifully made things is where it's at. And we should be able to be as expressive as we want while wearing materials that are supportive to the fact that we are not just flesh suits. We are like, we have electricity, right? And that's a simplified way of saying it, but we have an energetic field that is enmeshed with our physical body. And some of you have heard me talk about how physical ailments are oftentimes a response to something that starts in the energetic realm. So oftentimes it's like we're treating, and we hear this, right? It's like we're treating the symptom, but we're not looking at the root. And all of this is about restoring harmony, right? The clothing we put on our bodies, and then clearing all of the distortions within us that are keeping us out of alignment with our truth. And okay, and let me go back to this whole thing of harmony is not boring. I'm still talking about, but I really just want to hammer what I'm talking about. If what I have started moving into is boring, I can fucking promise you I would be right back to where I was before. When I first got hit with this in 2020, where it was like, cool, like I thought I was just gonna like drink my face off and like hopefully keep making the same money I'm making and like keep living this weird life of like, it was gross. I mean, it was gross in the sense that like it was unsustainable. Like when I think of it, I think of like my energy, and it was just like pulling me down further and further, and then I was trying to run away from the way I felt inside by doing these things that was pulling me down further and further. And that's what most people are doing. I was an extreme, I am a little extreme in general. So yeah, I was an extreme example of that. And when I popped awake in 2020, it was like this awareness that I'm meant to anchor in a new consciousness and then help others embody that same consciousness. And I'm like, me? Like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? Me? Because at the time, it was like, I didn't remember who I am. And now I've started coming into remembrances of like, oh, fuck, yeah. Like, I've been in a traumatized state from the moment that even when I was in my mother's belly, my understanding is that she was being physically abused. And then there was trauma, like, you know, when I was a baby. And then, through up until it went on. So it's like I had never gotten to experience my full expression. And even still, at 5 years old, I remember maybe it was 4. I have one specific memory where someone asked me a question, and I just have this memory of like my clairvoyance, that it was much more vivid. I'm still bringing it back. A lot of times what I get now is like I just have knowings that drop in. It's like I know. Um, and what else? Yeah, so even with all of that, like at 5, I had gifts. So it's like, imagine what we're moving into when I keep progressing in this direction. I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. So yes, in 2020, I get the signal that I'm meant to anchor in a new consciousness, help bring others into the same consciousness, which in a sense is really, so the way I look at it is like, and some of you may have heard this explanation before. We all have a unique signature, right? But think of your signature as, like in your center, you have this round stained glass piece. And what makes your signature unique is like the different colors and shapes that then light gets to express through. And right now, most of us we have this stained glass piece, but there's like a bunch of gunk on top of it, and that's like distortion, right? And it's due to like programs we're running, it's due to, and like programs are like beliefs that got instilled, like, up until, age like 7, you're just like a sponge, and so it's like you're just building a bunch of programs in there of like what this world is, who you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to act, what you're supposed to pay attention to in the world around you. So for example, like having clairvoyance, it's like we almost get trained out of that because it's like, no, that's not real, this is real. And so we start to attune to what we're going to pay attention to. Lost my train of thought, so I'm just going to see what wants to come through. Right, in 2020, so it's like I was shown I'm meant to anchor, the stained glass thing. So it's like, what I'm here to do is really not to, like, turn you into anything other than who you really are by helping to restore harmony, which think of that as you've got that round stained glass that is like your signature, and the experience you truly want is light shining through that and expressing through you, without reservations, without trying to mask, without trying to be what society expects you to be. Full fucking raw authenticity. All these businesses are studying shit, and it's like, yeah, you're seeing exactly what's coming, but like this isn't something that you get to try to control. This is something that's like, that would be like trying to use a spoon to hold the ocean back. Like, fucking have at it, but you're just gonna torture yourself, and it'd be much cooler if we could just like all cooperate and figure out how we make this as smooth of a transition as possible. Because the other thing I will say is I haven't seen this in a little while, but there was a point that I had tapped into this. It was actually during a past life regression session, which was really interesting. I had seen similar things before, but essentially what I was seeing is like there's one path that will be dead set on almost trying to like replicate what is naturally happening through technology, because they're afraid of what's rising and they want to try to match it. But what I've seen is that side is like a sinking ship, and it's like you can try and fight the tides, but it's not going to bode well for you. And those that are moving with the tides are going to be supported, like divinely supported, divinely protected, all of these things, right? And on that note, one thing I want to talk about also is a lot of people at these upper levels have been leveraging forms of magic. Maybe they don't realize, but I believe they understand. And what I want to say is that's not going to be supported anymore. We're not meant to just like bend will to what we want it to be. Again, that's like if what would that be? Like, I don't know, I can't think of an analogy, but like, you're gonna be trying to push a boulder uphill thinking like this is how I maintain control and power, and it's like, huh, joke's on you, you know. But if you want to start flowing with what's going on, then you can start improving your experience, and it will require some scary shit, as in like facing the stuff inside of you and facing your fear of the unknown, facing your fear of the uncontrollable, facing, which is directly tied to the fear of the feminine. So I made a post yesterday about how I was shown in 2023 that I was specifically at that time shown men would experience what they perceived as arousal, but it's actually like an energetic excitement within them. And just got sidetracked thinking about the post and thinking about how I was feeling when I was posting the post, because obviously that's a challenging thing to cross the bridge of posting things like that on LinkedIn for the first time. I was like, all right, girl, like, you fucking signed up for this, let's do it. Okay, so I talked about in the post yesterday how that energetic activation is, there's something deep within you that's like, I'm supposed to be a part of this, I'm supposed to be doing this, I'm supposed to be learning from her. It's a deeper knowing that it's almost like activating this part of you that's been asleep, right? And the other thing I want to touch on is the wild feminine. So another thing that's going to be occurring within everyone, basically, because women also have this internalized, is the fear of the wild feminine. The desire to control, to cage the wild feminine. It's rising, and whether you want to admit it or not, you fucking love that shit, right? Think about how, like, happily married men will oftentimes find and I'm not saying this is right. I'm trying to explain how this expresses currently, because we've been in a state of societally suppressing the wild feminine. Men want their wife to be sweet and predictable and almost like mommy, because almost every man has this deep mother wound. But having that in your wife is actually, it's going to frustrate the fuck out of you. It's like, well, I thought this was what I wanted. And like, it feels kind of safe to some, like, the inner little boy. But it's not satiating. It's not satiating. And then the other thing is, a lot of men are in relationships with women who are in their masculine. So, and I was in my masculine for a long time. And I do carry a lot of masculine energy. And I know that I carry a lot of masculine energy. And this helps me understand men better also. But I had to start learning how to trust the feminine energies and to untangle a lot that had been programmed within me around thinking the feminine is weak. And in fact, the feminine is quite fucking strong. And the feminine, each of us have masculine and feminine energies within us. When we are just running, so say for men, they're just like what is being done outside is also being done within, which translates to the feminine within men being suppressed. And then there's some men that are actually almost in the reverse, which is really interesting. But it's so much imbalance. And what we really want is balance, right? So each man has their masculine there's feminine energies running in there, which brings them into inner union, wholeness, and that's when we're no longer seeking from things outside of us to make ourselves feel whole. We already feel whole. And then everything else is just like fucking cherries and whipped cream and whatever the fuck else you want on top of your sundae, right? If you like sundaes, or you can translate that into whatever else you like. Yeah, what we're moving into is, I always wish that I could just dump what I feel, because it is so, words are so limiting. Words are so very limiting. But what I can promise you is, like, I would not still be on this path um, if I were not all fucking lit up. It's like I don't need the world to validate me. I don't need much, to be honest. And I simultaneously have this awareness that I am at this critical mass tipping point where I have released so much that I'm actually now going to start moving back into having more, which it's not like I don't have enough. It's just I have really been kind of pulling into myself. And even things like, not really caring about my clothes, not really going out and like doing like going on all these different adventures. Like I've really been kind of in a cocoon. And so that's what I mean in terms of having more, just like more variety, more stuff going on. Like I can feel that I'm at this critical mass tipping point, which is one of the really fucking cool things about having your gifts activated is you're not just blindly moving through the world. You're like, okay, I just released this big thing in my life and like I'm having to grieve. And this is something I'm moving through right now, and I'm having to grieve all that I had wanted that thing to be and having to accept what is like the truths that I came to be able to see. Because like I mentioned, I've been shedding distortions, and I was down to some of the really like the deepest, darkest layers, and so this shit was fucking really hard to be with, and it required that stuff being triggered in a way that was really painful to move through, but necessary. And I can feel even more of myself coming in, more of my power coming online. And so it's like I'm at this point now where it's like my life has been whittled down to like not include a lot of the things that I used to hold on to make myself feel okay. And I believe that it's how do I explain this? It's like I no longer even desire so much extra stuff because I just feel so good within myself. And this is coming from someone that used to drink every day, who has multiple PTSD qualifying events in her life, one formal diagnosis, CPTSD qualifying experiences. Yeah, it's been a fucking journey, but I really just want to help people understand that there's going to be fear, and some of that fear is going to be like, was this going to be boring or is this going to be cool? And it's like, it's actually really fucking cool. Like I said, I wish I could show you guys what I see and what I feel from what we're moving into, but people will be way more like genuinely happy in their lives. And it doesn't have to be, and by it doesn't have to be, I mean like it's not going to be one where some people, well, that's not really true. I was going to say where some people have beautiful experiences and some people don't. When we reach a certain tipping point, yeah, everyone is going to be in like a certain type of energy. But for a while, it's going to be like, choose your own adventure, man. Like you can be on this path, which is like, that's going to be getting better and better. Or you can be on this path, which is like fighting against the current, and it's going to be getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's like, fucking say when, man. Like whenever you're ready to surrender, like fucking say when, and like we can help, but no one can make you. I'm actually gonna say what one of my friends said to me about another situation recently. No one can make you want this for yourself, or someone else. It's like, I can't want it more than you want it, right? You can't come to my sessions and like you think that you're gonna ride the wave of me wanting to fix you. Like that's not how this works, and I'm not gonna fucking fix anyone. Like I am going to activate certain parts of you, help you release certain things, help you like it'll be available to you. When we're on sessions, like it will be available for you to have a lot shift within you, and then you'll like integrate after our sessions in life, and I'll help talk to you about how to do that and some tools, um and we'll heal those parts that are like still stuck in like little boy or little girl mode, who are seeking like the love of mommy or daddy from places where like they're never gonna heal that wound from that person or that thing, and it's always gonna create a feeling of loneliness, emptiness, lack of feeling full of love, lack of really being able to even love someone else super deeply, a lack of general satiation, and but you have to want it. Like, so it's say when, right? Like whenever you surrender, like fucking say when, and I can help you. What I've seen is that eventually this scales out to be, I have other people that I can point you guys to. And I'm not gonna share that part, but yeah, listen to that part of you that is like, there's something here, because your mind is likely going to try to understand, but it's not gonna, this isn't something that you understand through your mind. This is something that you begin to allow yourself to feel awaken from within you. So as you listen, I would allow yourself, maybe I probably should have said this at the start now that we're 40 minutes in, but as you're listening to me, you know, in this video and future videos, know that I'm talking to a part of you that hasn't been awakened in a long time, that's been dormant within you. And so if you keep feeling pulled back to my videos, my posts, it's because you're trying to reconnect with that part of you. And that is the part of you that I would be absolutely fucking honored to help you activate within yourself. And I know, so I knew going into this that I would be speaking out very publicly about things that people weren't really ready to listen to or hear or really digest fully. But I knew that I was to just keep talking about it, and that eventually people would be ready. And and I can feel the point that we're at now, and I'm excited because there's some fuckery going on in the background, but I can feel what is moving within people, and the floodgates are about to open, and I'm so fucking here for it. Like, this is why we came here, you know? Like, we've been existing in this period of the collective's history that has been like pretty like not super fun, right? Like, it's been a little bit like dog eat dog, and that was dog eat dog, by the way, not doggy dog. That's kind of how it sounded. And like, you're either like you've got a lot and you're doing well, but you're probably still kind of empty feeling, or like you don't have a lot and you're really fucking stressed out and you're in survival mode. And honestly, even the people at top have kind of been in survival mode as well on some level, but not, it's like a different survival mode. A lot of ego. Yeah, most people running around, it's just like their egoic layer, which is not you. I mean, it's parts of you that we will integrate into the truth of who you are, which is more this essence that's meant to run through you and express. So I know I touched on this at one point, but I want to circle back to how I was watching some video, and it was talking about how, like, on YouTube, you know, they run analytics, and they're talking about how, like, one of the big trends right now is, like, authenticity. Like, people really are craving authenticity. And it's, yeah, the collective is waking up, and we're remembering that there's more. And thank fucking God. Oh, there was something else that I just wanted to touch on. Well, whatever. Yeah, we're remembering that there's more. And I want to say, too, like, when we move into this new way of being, we will continuously get to experience more and more and more and more and more. But we'll be flowing with the natural rhythms, the flow of life, because we are, like I said, a bigger organism. And like, if we don't want to be, we want to, like, people talk about heaven on earth, right? And that is what we're moving into, but again, like, it's not boring. Like, it's fucking amazing. Like I said, I wish I could like give like the energetic flavor of it. The best I can do is like listen to me talk and try and feel into it without your mind analyzing it. And I also want to acknowledge, like, I get that, what's that term? Like, is that cognitive dissonance? When, like, what I want to acknowledge, I don't know if that would apply, cognitive dissonance, something along those lines. So essentially, like, I want to acknowledge how challenging it is to live your whole life thinking like reality is a certain way, and then all of a sudden have people come in and be like, haha, that's not actually the whole truth, you know? So I get that the things that I talk about can be really jarring. And I would really encourage you to just breathe as you listen to what I say, as you read my posts, and just feel, instead of using your mind to try to understand, just feel how it feels, how it lands in your body. We know truth through, like, there will be a resonance within us, right? Something in us will know that that is true. Now, I will add in that I have noticed that some distortions are fed to us through telling us partial truth, so it activates that part of us that knows resonant truth, but then it's like twisting it in some way. So we want to kind of refine that capacity to feel what's true. But you'll probably feel, as we awaken more, like, I can feel that stuff now, usually pretty damn effectively. Most people are not going to be attuned enough to feel. They might just have activated if it's a partial truth, right? And they might not realize, like, well, it's a distorted version of the truth. But I would really encourage, I did a post about this actually before I even left the corporate world, because I had something come through that was saying, like, it's going to become really, really critical that people learn how to feel into what feels resonant within themselves as truth, instead of looking to the outside world to tell them what's true and what's not, because at that point I was being shown, and this was like last year, I'd been being shown that it was going to become really confusing for people trying to figure out, like, what's real, what's true, and to just encourage people to come back to their own sense of, like, checking in with yourself. And so if you can do breath work, meditation to return to your center, breath work will help bring your nervous system down, which that's the other big thing, is, like, we can't bring, like, our essence in. Like, we can't, it's like there's not enough space for it to run until we clear the distortion and we settle our nervous system. So we've been kept in this heightened state, and, like, we're not going to be able to we're just going to stay a bunch of fucking NPC players if we stay in a heightened state. So I hope that was as interesting and fun for you as it was for me. I am grateful to have let go even more and to stop caring about my lighting and how I show up. Been tricky, I will tell you that, to, like, you know, just be talking about all the shit that I talk about and not wonder how it's going to come across to people. But it's also been getting increasingly more fun because I've been finally shedding some of these final layers. And what's hysterical is, like, I can feel what's coming next for me usually. And I can feel some of the energy that's coming next, and I'm like, really? Like, not in a bad way, but in, like, I'm already very bold, and I think that's only gonna increase. and like my flavor will be even more noticeable. So if you enjoyed this video and kind of how, like, what it sparks to life within you, I would recommend subscribing so you can come back for the future videos, because what I can tell you is, like, I am not the same person right now that I was a couple of weeks ago, and a couple of weeks ago I was not the same person that I was a couple weeks before that. The process that I'm moving through is very rapid, and therefore, like, the types of things that I will be offering through these videos is going to shift and shift and shift over time, and there will be less and less resistance within me to allow what wants to come through me to fully express through me, right? Like, my true essence and the parts of me that know what I'm here to do and that are, like, fucking thrilled about it, right? Like, the part of me that says I can feel what's coming next for me, and there's a part of me that's like, really? That's my remaining, like, the parts of me that still think I need to be, like, shoved into a fucking box. And, like, they're quiet at this point. Like, they don't get much of a say. But there's still these little parts, because I'm like, damn, I'm already pretty fucking bold. And, like, and I have a lot of fears. So the big thing that stirs up for me, I'll share a little bit about the, like, what I feel is coming next and why it stirs something in me. And I actually think this is a really beautiful thing to do, because I witness people on my sessions being seen in this stuff, and I think I want to continue to be someone that shows that, like, I'm willing to be seen in the things that still freak me out a little bit too, to, like, set the tone for, it's like, you know, I've had people around me say that they think that, like, this is probably just fucking easy for me because I've got these gifts activated and I know what's going on, and it's like, well, it's not really like that, and I'm still human, and I have not fully released every single aspect of me that was groomed by society. So, yeah, some of what I've seen myself moving into, I've been having to, this might sound crazy to people. So, like, I know I come off as a pretty confident person, but I still have programs within me that tell me, don't come off as too confident because people might think you're an arrogant asshole. Or there was this program that I took on growing up of, like, if I seem smarter, more, like, happy and bubbly, prettier, now I'm a threat and people are gonna try to tear me down. And so as a little kid I learned that, but as a grown-up I'm like, because of their fucking insecurities that they're projecting onto me, like, bullshit, we're done playing that game, right? But I can see her. I can see the next version of me. I can feel her. She's fucking badass. Like, I'm already a badass, and, like, she's fucking badass. And so there's a part of me that's, like, intimidated. I'm like, do you like me? Like, I get to be you? Like, you know, it's like a little, but that's this game that we play, right? So, and that's why, like, when I tell you this process is not boring, it's like, it's a fucking rush, because you have to be willing to constantly live at your edge. And that's where we're gonna learn how to just exist, because we're designed to just constantly be expanding. We've just been in this, like, I'm gonna put myself in a box and fucking stay there, and it's like, no one likes this game anymore. Like, no one likes this game anymore. There are people that are addicted to the way that they have structured things to feed them, because they are not willing to produce their own light. And so they might feel like they get some of that, but that's not sustainable. It's going to be even less sustainable as we progress forward, like, not supported. Our concept of karma is going to be quickening. It's already been quickening. What we manifest into our life has always been based on, like, what we hold within us, and that's going to be quickening as well. Like, so say you go into, like, a fear state of, like, I'm terrified that this thing is going to happen. Like, you're probably going to draw that thing into you much faster if you get fixated on it enough. And it's gonna affect something in your life. All the energetic signatures that we put out affect what we get to experience here. Is there anything else that I want to say? Yeah, I just want to touch on that thing real quick about, like, yeah, what we're shifting into, it's like, it's so fucking cool. I know this is like, you're like, well, bitch, like, tell me what you mean. Like, I just I can feel what we're moving into. And what I will say also is like, I didn't trust these senses for, this has been going on my whole life. But in 2020, I snapped awake where it was like much more of me came into my body instead of just like these fucking trauma response programs, right? Um, and And at first it was really challenging to trust what came through because I was like, am I fucking delusional? Like, what is this? Like, no one around me was talking about experiences like that. Thankfully, I was received the signal to move to Arizona, and I was like, why the fuck am I moving to Arizona? I knew like one person. We had like been friends years before, but weren't really in close contact, and I knew one other person from work that lived in the state, but I wasn't in contact with them anymore. And oh, let me turn my notifications off. Get out of here. Um, uh, yeah, I got the signal to move to Arizona, and it was like, what the fuck? This is so weird. And like, I had just bought a condo, and that was like such a big life goal of mine. Like, having been like homeless, grew up, we always were renting, and it was just like a big thing for me to get to that point of like, I bought a condo in Southie, which is an area in Boston for anyone that doesn't know. Like a trendy neighborhood. I was like, I fucking did it, you know? And then I'm like, why do I not feel more like when it first happened? Yeah, it's like, oh my God. But then it's like, what we don't realize is we're designed to be living differently, right? Like, we can just keep chasing thrills, but it's not really going to work for us. So I moved to Arizona, and all of a sudden I get out there and I realize there's like a whole fucking community of people just like me who some of them remembered, some of them described. I remember there was one in particular. I went to an in-person past life regression, and this girl had come in late and sat directly across from me, feet facing me, and we're friends today. Shout out Daniela. And we sit up at the end of the past life regression. And I hadn't really looked at her that much before because she had come in late, kind of right before I think we were laying down. And when I sit up, and this is when I had remembered that the life on that other planet, which I get emotional about every time I think about. I sit up, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, I know you. And it was like, I know you from that lifetime. And she starts speaking, and she's speaking about being on a ship. And so it's like she had gone off planet, and I had stayed on planet. And since then, there was one other person that also, they had a past life reading, and they were someone that was close in my life for a while. They had a past life reading in which the person described, again, like the planet that I had seen, and talked about how that person and I had shared a life on that planet. And I hadn't described that planet to them, and they described it, which was really fascinating. So, how did I go down? Oh yeah, because I moved to Arizona, and there was all these people. So here's the thing, like, the more we start to allow ourselves in, the more we're going to awaken our own natural intuition, which is just going to lead us, right? And when we allow it to lead us, life flows. We don't have to force it. We don't have to try to control everything. It just flows, and that flow that it leads us into is perfect for keeping everything in harmony while also being exactly what your highest expression wishes to be experiencing. But you have to release the mind's desire to understand everything before it happens. So like when I was guided to move to Arizona, it's like, all right, I guess I'm going to sell my condo. Well, at first I rented it for a while. I guess I hadn't just bought it. No, I hadn't just, I don't know. Anyways, so I had the condo, move out to Arizona. I was like, I don't know how the fuck this is all going to work out. And I remember, I didn't right away jump and move. I sat with it. I talked with some people that I trusted. I had a lot of people be like, what are you doing? Like, my mother was like, what are you doing? Like, this doesn't make any sense. And it's like, I don't know how to explain it to you, but I'm being called to go out there. And like, I have zero regrets now. Like, it was exactly what I needed. But had I let my mind convince me that that was stupid, because there's all these reasons my mind could come up with for why that didn't make logical sense, I would have probably really delayed my progression. So maybe have that be a little practice for the next week. Like, what is something that you feel like your heart is pulling you towards that you have been ignoring, that you can just take one step towards in the next week, and see where that gets you. Even if you're like, I don't know how the fuck this is gonna work out. I have no fucking idea how this is gonna work, but you only live once, and usually those signals are pulling us into an experience that will be so much more aligned for us and so much more satiating for us, and sometimes it looks totally different than we thought that our life was going to look, but we just trust it. So anyways, I love you guys. I will see you on the next video. Feel free to drop comments. Send this video to people that you think might find it interesting. Subscribe if you're wanting to see my next videos, and or if you just want to support me. And yeah, many more to come. Okay, bye guys.